Cool. So today, please bear with me. I'm just going through my thoughts as I speak. So I wanted to highlight or speak about how I sort of ran my day on a daily basis while I was working versus how I'm running it now. So yeah, my day might look as crazy as yours looks, might not. Who knows? But yeah, so if I can say that I try to squeeze every moment out of every day, that would be an understatement. I think there were days that I worked when I shouldn't have, days when I desperately needed rest, but I needed to finish stuff. So it sort of made things difficult for me to sort of put things off till the next day. And then the other thing is that without this here, I was completely lost. I had to write everything down just because there was so much going on. So the way a typical day looked prior to me leaving my 9 to 5, my day, I would wake up just before 6 a.m. And that time was basically for me to, I just grab my phone. If there's any texts that have come through, especially if it's overseas texts, so anything off of Fiverr or Upwork or any of the platforms I was working on, which I guess I'll go into in another video. I'm getting gay. What's up? Today I want to speak about my routine, how I had it before I quit my job and how it is now. Mind you, I've only been doing this now for 2 weeks, so it's a little bit of a mishmash. I haven't really settled into one specific routine, but I would say that it's a lot less congested than what it used to be. To say I was squeezing every moment out of every day was an understatement. I was going at it, even on days when I just wasn't supposed to be. There were days when I was tired, when I didn't feel well, just when I had other stuff to do, like work and stuff. That was all that I was thinking about, and I think it got to a place where it just wasn't healthy anymore. My days might look as crazy as yours do now. It might not look as crazy. You might look at my day and be like, yo, I still do way more than that. It's fine. This was my limit, and this is why I ended up leaving my job. Anyway, my day typically started at 10 to 6, so 5:50. Woke up from my alarm. I'd then just have a look at my phone, see what's going on. I mean, already there, starting off with screen time was just not good. But it's the only time I had, because if I had an international text that came through during the night, my phone never buzzed for it, but I'd wake up in the morning to 3 or 4 texts that I needed to finish replying to, because the next time I'd get a chance to reply to that would be at midday that day. So first thing I'd do is I'd check my texts, I'd check my emails. If there's anything that needs my urgent attention, I would have done it right there and then. It usually doesn't take me more than 10 minutes. Then from there, I would go and take a shower. That's me every single morning. I have to, because that's the only way I wake up. I don't drink coffee, I don't do any of that stuff. Anyway, after the shower, into the car. And my commute was long. On most days it was long. It was either an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, which is ridiculous. But traffic, there were times when I was forced to drive straight through traffic to get to where I needed to be. What I use that time for, I would the night before, I would download as many YouTube videos, and I'd get as many podcasts loaded onto my phone, and then my phone basically became my radio for the morning, and I'd just listen to stuff wherever I was going, whether I was going to pick up stock, whether I was going to drop stuff off, go and see someone at a specific clinic. That was me every single day, just consuming stuff. I really listen to music. I rarely listen to music because I'm making music all the time. So during the day, I'd run my things. I'd either be supervising, or I'd be working on admin, or I'd be at a meeting. That would be me until about 12 o'clock. Sometimes I'd push in my lunch would be at 1. I had that freedom and that flexibility, which was nice. Sometimes I didn't even get a chance to take lunch. But then I would, I'd sit with my lunch, but then I'd be doing something else, whether it's handling whatever emails I've received, maybe making 1 or 2 phone calls, but that was me during lunch. I'd get home around about 4:30, about 4:30 I'd get home. A much better drive because there'd be less traffic. Some days it wasn't the case, but I'd drive home. Then from there it would be effectively family time until about 8:30, right? So that could be anything from I know I've just lumped it all into one, but like going to the shops, handling any sort of outside of work tasks and any sort of at-home things, cleaning up, doing any stuff like that, and then prep until end of supper, which is round about like 8, half 8. We eat late. Anyway, from there it was into music, like straight into the music I'd go, and it would be a case of like I'd struggle during the afternoons because my thought process is already like, okay, what am I going to get done in the evenings? And then from there, my work would start 9 p.m. and then I'd go until 11. But the crazy thing is that during that time, that's when everybody's sort of working on their side projects and side hustles. So my phone's buzzing. So I'm busy trying to work, I'm busy trying to record stuff, I'm mixing, I'm mastering, I'm making beats. But at the same time, I'm also replying to people, trying to finalize deals. And what happened many a night would be around about 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'm concluding a deal, but at the same time I'm wrapping up my work. So many times I would wrap up my work and then get a new job come in, whether it's a voiceover, a mix and master, something that I needed to finish that day, because who knows what the next day looked like. And I didn't have time during the day to finish the stuff. So it was almost like an impossible situation. So I'd find myself sleeping 11:30, 12 o'clock, sometimes even push until 12:30, 1 a.m. just to finish as much of what was on my plate as possible. That was me Monday to Friday. It was hectic. Yeah, it was a lot. Saturday, I would steal a couple of hours here and there. Sunday, same story. Again, I'd use the evenings. Once everybody's gone to sleep, that's me. So if it's early and it's like 8 o'clock, boom, I'm in. From 8 until whenever. If it's a bit later on, it's 10, 10:30, 11, so be it. Sometimes I wouldn't even get a chance to get to finishing any work. It became really hectic to a point where I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, okay, cool, I need to get to work. But I've been up that night. Maybe I woke up a few times because, there's a baby in the house, but then also I didn't treat myself with the time that I went to sleep was very irresponsible, right? So I'd sometimes wake up only having had 1 or 2 really good hours of sleep. And you know what happens? You're in the car and you're just like, you're dazed, like your mind just goes elsewhere. 8:30, 9 o'clock sometimes I'd be finished. I'd be done and I'd just be like, I just cannot make it through the day. At that point, I'd find myself having to stand up and just take a walk outside. So this was me on a daily basis. It sort of came to a head in the past few months because I was pushing that the freelancing was getting big, that was growing, but at the same time, things at work were getting hectic. It was end of financial year, so there was a lot to do. At that point, I'd already made the decision to leave work, and I kind of was just riding it out until the end. So that was that. Now my schedule is a bit different. I wake up in the morning, assist with prep where I can. That's around about 6 o'clock that I do that. Then by 7, I'm working on music. I am recording voiceovers, I am making beats, I am mixing and mastering tracks. I don't take sessions so early, but that's usually me for the first 1 or 2 hours of the day, just so I can knock out really, really important things that I need to get done. That way, by like 9 o'clock, all the big stuff is done for the day. Then from there, it's me. I'm just stacking up as many wins as I can get. So I'm making more beats. I'm mixing more tracks. I'm just, isn't a lot of like research and like following. I'm kind of just trying to create stuff, whether it be here and I'm trying to create content. I'm trying to shoot videos. I'm trying to make trying to work on podcasts. I'm making more beats. I'm mixing more tracks. At the same time, in between all of that, I get the time now to be able to text people back without feeling like, hey, I'm stealing from my other work, or it just wasn't gelling well. But now I get to do that quite nicely. I think one of the points where I was like, things need to change from how I was running things previously was that there were times when I wanted to be excited, but I just didn't have the energy to. So a few situations was like if I was at work and someone was telling me something, whether it be something terrible that happened to them or something incredible that happened to them, I couldn't give it must have been towards the end of last year, like October, where I stopped being able to give. Sometimes you give some of your energy. If someone's like, yeah, this thing happened, and you're also like, you're in there and you're like, yo, yeah, and you're giving of your energy. Or if someone's like, they're really down and you're kind of like, yo, man, I feel you. I got to a point, I remember at the top of this year, for a short while I had some energy, but after, like, very quickly I was just, I don't want to say numb, because that's extreme. I was apathetic. I would be told things and I'm like, okay, all right. Someone would be excited, I'd be like, okay. Someone would be really down, I'd be like, yo, it's terrible, it's bad. But inside I wasn't able to give as I was doing previously. That was one sign when I was like, yo, this is wrong, because I don't operate like this. I like to dive into and be as empathetic as I can. Even if I might not have been in that situation, I kind of like, I stop and I focus on the situation, or the person's situation and how they're feeling at that time. But there's none of that, because I didn't have anything extra. Also, watching, this is a silly one, but it's a big one for me. Watching a Chelsea match. If anyone's seen me watch a Chelsea game, I get animated. I'm probably as animated as I ever am. And even then still, it's kind of just like, every now and again I'll punch the air, or I'll make a really angry noise or whatever. But I found myself getting very tired. Like towards like the 60th minute of the game, I'll just be like, yo. By like 70th and 80th minute, if the game's super boring, my eyes are already dipping off like that, especially Champions League nights or like midweek games where the games are quite late, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I was done, I was finished. So that's when I really knew, I know this is not right. So there were a couple of other situations where I felt like this is not correct, but yeah, those were some of the main ones where I was like, hey, I need to switch it up. I need to change how things are going. And I'm loving this. I'm having a good time. I'm rested. I'm well rested. I don't have those moments where I just want to pass out on the couch. And yeah, things seem to be going well. I guess I'll check up again in a week's time. I want to try and bring something maybe a little bit more interesting. Or I don't know, maybe this stuff is interesting for you. I have a lot of stuff to go through in my diary. Like there's a lot of journaling, a lot of notes and stuff that I've written down over the past few months that I told myself if I ever do this, it's gonna come out. So there's a lot to cover. I'm gonna dig into that, and I will catch you in the next one.